Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about, maybe the lack of videos you've seen on the channel. Just kind of my overall state of the game right now. I've been feeling pretty burnt out recently. This doesn't mean that I'm quitting SWGO at all. Do not think that at all. But I've definitely taken some steps back, and unfortunately, the channel has taken a little bit of a hit in terms of not just the views, but even like I haven't been getting content out as recently. So we're going to kind of dive into that and talk about how I'm combating that burnout and what the steps and measures I'm putting in place to make sure that I don't just kind of fall to the wayside and let this account go, because I do love this game. And when I'm on and I love it. But there's definitely been more times than not where I'm just going through the motions. So I want to talk about this because I think it's important to give you guys that insight, not only into me, but into some of the factors driving it. Oftentimes you just see this personality of, Fat Phil and don't really get to hear from just Phil. So let me know your guys' thoughts. I really appreciate your support. Let's give our shout to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you guys have questions, please send them in the Discord, whether it's through direct message or through the special members only channel. Whether I'm doing a live stream or not, I'm always happy to take a look at your roster and give you the advice, because even if I'm not creating doesn't mean that I'm not paying attention to you guys or that I'm not willing to give you that time, because that's what this is all about. So thank you guys. Let's get into this video. Alright guys, so I'd say the catalyst for part of this burnout feeling was just, I went through a very busy time at work a few months ago, and it kind of cost me some of the time I would be able to, I don't want to say devote to SWGO, because like I sit there and I work, I'm working, I might be able to take a lunch break and kind of create, working from home, but I wasn't able to do that. I was working through lunch, and then I'd get off and I'd want to go up and spend time with the family. And then I would just get, I'd be so mentally exhausted that trying to do a live stream was really challenging. And so that kind of festered for a while and kind of led to this. I wasn't paying as much of attention to things. I was just kind of like, oh, I'll do a video in a little bit, and then something for work would come up. So it just kind of, I kind of got to this point where I was like, I needed to just kind of step back. And then I've kind of been just looking at, what I want to do career-wise. And so that's been, that thought process and journey has been something that takes up time that normally I could spend paying attention to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So for that, I do apologize, And, as Phil talking, right, I am not the best at, if I don't have a clear mind, I don't always get everything out I want to say, and I kind of like have to just shut down a little bit. So that's been a big part of what has happened in SWGO, and so I actually had to step down as an officer in my guild because I really just wasn't contributing the way I should be, and I didn't feel it was fair to be taking up an officer slot or trying to pretend I'm an officer when I'm not really able to contribute at that level. And so I said, hey guys, it's just not what I can do right now. And shortly after I did that, my guild actually instilled casual raids. So our casual raids, obviously this new raid is just, it's misery, right? It can be really difficult. So what my guild went and did is that we said, okay, we're making this push for 416 million, but we recognized it was going to take some time. So we instill these casual versus max raids where we try to push our score as far as we can. So I think we got within like 10 million points of this box on our last max attempt. So after that, we went casual. And I think our next max raid will be the next one that we launch, where we're going to try and get 416. But the idea with these casual raids was that you could post a much lower score as long as we got this reward box here. And that was a big help because I can get 5.4 million in like 2 runs. It doesn't take a lot of work. So that was a huge benefit to me to be able to be like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to spend, an hour trying to get the right RNG on this stupid Sidious team or whatever. So that's been a really big help. But another thing that I've really done is I took a massive step back in Grand Arena. My skill rating, like I'm hanging into, the mid to lower levels of K2. Skill Squish did a lot of that. It took a lot of the fire out of me. But I went very casual here in the sense that I'll go do some attacks and I fail once and I'll just stop. I didn't have the time to pay attention to every little datacron. And so I just kind of was like, you know what? If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. And you know what? I'm not in Kyber 1 anymore, but I don't spend my entire day trying to plot my GAC and figure out what I'm going to do. And it's been a huge relief. That was definitely something I just had to really kind of, all right, let's tone this back a bit. But another thing that I did that I actually think really helped kind of separate Swago is that I would, when I get off of work, and I'm playing with my kids and stuff like that, I wouldn't open the game back up until much later at night. Rather than trying to get on, collect some energy, do this, do that. It's like, hey, if I can get on, great. If not, I can just let it go. It's not the end of the world. Am I missing a few Kyrotech here and there? Yes, but I'm maintaining my sanity. And so that's been an important kind of step for me to take, right? Is just, I needed to take that step back. I needed to take that break. And as many of you know, I ran cross country and track in college, and I would have to do the same thing after every season. That we had your, you called it your cross country box and your track box, and after those seasons, you kind of have to close those up and just go into your fill box. Not fill the athlete, not even fill the student at times, just fill the kid. And so I've done that, and it's been really helpful for this game and getting back on track to, not just creating videos, but getting that fire back. And part of that for me has been recognizing that my account now, I have to transition the way that I get enjoyment from Star Wars. So in the past, when I was a lower level Galactic Power, the one thing that was really nice is I had this complexity to what I was going to farm. There was a complexity to it. It was like, oh, I could choose between these 3 Galactic Legends and this Journey Guide character and this capital ship. And now there's so much less for me to choose from because, again, your roster's, grown to the point. And so my bottlenecks are now so much more time gated rather than, and by time gated meaning like I'm farming Night Trooper now, but I literally can't make progress on Enoch because he's not available to farm. So like there was weeks where I wasn't farming a single shard because I just, I don't have that luxury, but I can't go get these guys because I still need all the signal data for other things. So it just was, I've had to adjust the way that I look at my farming and look at this game to get the enjoyment, because I do love that complexity to something, right? That kind of difficult decision, that analytical thought process of, hey, by going for Lord Vader first, it's going to take me longer, but I'm going to get a better Galactic Legend than I do if I go after Rey or whatever. And that kind of brings me to the place I've gotten to now, where I think my next logical step will be to start looking at taking my roster to the point where I'm a lot better in territory battles. My guild went casual. I shouldn't say casual in territory war. I love the way the one officer, Jay Smith, shout out, man, like really, really good officer. And one of the things that he said is he goes, casual isn't the right word for territory wars. We're playing for second. And you're like, Phil, that sounds like the same thing. But we want you to join. We just don't care if we win or lose. We want everybody to join our territory wars now. And we're just going to, hey, if we have a lopsided, Mickey Mouse competition, we're going to go all in and we're going to win. And if we're Mickey Mouse, if we're the Mickey Mouse competition to a larger guild, we're not going to care. It doesn't matter. Like, we're just going to play for second. And, if I could scream at Capital Games for anything, it's that fact that, like, we can get away with that. That we can get away with playing for second, and it'd be no different than if we gave our full effort and got second. You know what I mean? And I think that would actually, in some cases, I've always said, like, oh, I'd love if they did that. But the one downside to that would be you wouldn't get those times to just take a step back and kind of recuperate from your burnout. So the steps that my guild has taken, and even the steps that I've taken to kind of just pull myself back a little bit, have been really helpful for just me to be able to focus where I need to focus and recharge my batteries, especially like once Ahsoka gets here. We're going to be going back all in on stuff, really kind of paying attention to things, and kind of finding that burning desire to learn every little bit of this game. Because like I haven't read a kit since, I don't know, maybe Enoch or one of the Death Trooper, Night Trooper. Like, it's been a while since I've read a kit, because just what's the point? I think I read Great Mothers. I don't know. I can't remember. But that's kind of just a little bit of what's been going on here, guys. You know, again, I'm not going anywhere, right? And I would say this to everybody. The lesson I learned is it's better to just go even, semi-casual, kind of focus on the areas that's going to keep you in your guild and let some of the other areas, fall to the wayside a little bit, than just setting the game down for a month and coming back and you've missed all these important things. Because I've seen the guys who do that, where they set the game down for a month, they come back, and then they're like, oh, I'm so far behind, and then they just end up falling over and quitting. It's better to try to stay as plugged in as you can, even if it's in a more minimal sense, and then, hey, I found the love again, I'm ready to go. So that's kind of what's going on, guys. I really appreciate everybody sticking with me. I know it's not always the easiest, especially when you've got these amazing creators putting out some really good content, or you've got Arnold always pulling in crazy views and doing the Great Mothers testing, which, by the way, those girls are just absolutely absurd. I will say I am beating them in Squad Arena with my Kenobi team, but it's not fun and it's not easy. But, shout out to the creators who are there. It is nice that we have a big community of guys who, even if your favorite isn't making content, you're still able to get some good information from everybody else. So, enough rambling from me. I love you guys so much. Thank you again for sticking with me and for the constant support. May the Force be with you. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.